Welcome to Minecraft. My name is Arrington, and today we are in test episode number 5, the Arctic Village. So if the name doesn't give it away, in this episode I want to build a village from the ground up, making sure to include as many villager professions as I can. So we'll switch things up a bit today and begin by showing off the cartographer's igloo. The outside is very basic, should look very similar to the Minecraft generated structure. The only difference is I added in some snow layers to give it a little more rounded shape. Got a cartographer's table out here. And on the inside here, we've got another cartographer table, chest for paper and compasses. Back here, we've got one of his maps, some paper he's been working on, and a furnace, a bed, and some nice blue carpet. Pretty basic in here. I think we'll keep it kind of basic throughout, though, as well. Just a nice, simple Arctic village. We'll travel down the path from the cartographer's igloo and make our way towards the next build. Over here, buried in the hill, we've got the blacksmith's guild. I began working on the inside off camera and dug right into a cave system, so that gave me the idea to expand, hence the lower basement entrance off to the left here. Heading inside, we have what is now the sleeping quarters for the workers. A fireplace to keep them warm at night and, we have to be quiet, they're sleeping yet. And back here in the corner, we have some extra iron storage. And then down the stairs, we have the blacksmith with all the appropriate workstations. Here on the left, we have the grindstone for Watson, the weaponsmith, the smithing table for Theo, the toolsmith, and the blast furnace for Tank, the armorer. Originally, I had this area on the top floor, but I switched it thinking that the closer quarters would help keep the villagers warmer in their beds, and the airflow would be more open during work hours. Speaking of airflow, I figured even in the miserable cold of the Arctic, that our blacksmiths would still need some additional airflow due to the heat and the metals they'd be working with. So I added in these vents all along the ceilings of their workplace that can be opened during the day and closed at night. So from here, I want to work our way back into the forest, making some different cabins, barns, and tents. So I started off camera by clear-cutting the area and leveling out the ground where I wanted to build. I'm planning on this being the camp part of the village, with a barn and 2 tents surrounding a campfire. Surprisingly, I think this is the first barn I've ever actually built in Minecraft. I started by creating the front face and then working to make sure that I had nailed the iconic barn roof shape. I then wanted to get the second floor figured out in order to make sure there would be enough room there in the top for the villagers' beds and access to the front of the hayloft. Though the plan is to use trapdoors for the upper railings rather than fence posts, which gives us a little more wiggle room, since they can be placed on the edge of a block instead of the center. With those dimensions worked out, I finished filling out the other 3 exterior walls and then finished placing the rest of the blocks and stairs for the roof. Next, I wanted to make some tents in the area. I spent time in preparation for this episode looking at photos of Inuit villages. From these pictures, I gained inspiration for all of the different builds in this episode. I found everything from heavy canvas tents, cabins, shacks built on the sides of mountains, to buildings built and dug into the sides of hills. I wanted this last tent to be quite large, preferably larger than this even, to allow for a spacious interior, but I was limited by the size of the barn as I didn't want to make the scale seem off. I textured the tents by mixing in some concrete powder, adding carpet pieces and banners along the sides. Once I was done, I cleaned up the terrain by putting in some fresh snow layers. And here we have the majestic Minecraft polar bear, wandering around its natural habitat. Definitely not spawned with an egg for this very bit. While this mob serves little function in the world of Minecraft, the polar bear adds a truly spectacular ambiance to the snowy tundra. Peaceful by nature, the polar bear will only attack if you have the misfortune of being between a mother and her cub. Alright, so we'll head back into the woods to find the most concentrated portion of our village, all centered around this campfire here. On the right, we've got our barn. And inside, we've got 2 stories here. We've got upstairs, we've got the villager beds, as well as a hayloft. Back downstairs, we've got a composter for Phineas, our farmer. Outside, his small little wheat crop. Then here we've got our animal pens. We've got cows and sheep. And then here we've got the loom for our shepherd, Amelia. And then back here under the stairs, she's got some wool storage. And here's some banners she's working on. So back outside, we'll go across to our first tent, the home of Dennis, our Fletcher. You'll see here, Dennis's tent is tied down to keep it supported. I did this by leashing up a cow and burying it under the path, and then I tied the other end up here to the fence post. Now Dennis is a simple man, and inside he's just got his bed and his workstation. Though if we go back outside, over here to the right, he has a small area set up for target practice. Lastly, here is the green tent, our library. And this is probably our... Excuse me. Yes? Okay, pardon me. And this is probably our smallest interior yet. Off to the left, we've got a small library and the lectern, 2 beds, and the workstation for our cleric. So from here, I think I'll head back down to the river and set up an ice fishing shack. Working towards the river, I built a small fishing shack on the ice. Outside, we have the mess of supplies needed by our fisherman, his workstation here, the barrel, an extra chest, crafting table, and a rack off to the right here for hanging the fish he catches for the day. Inside, we just have a small furnace to keep the place warm, and a chair by his fishing hole. I added an extra bed up in the cartographer's igloo. I didn't figure the fisherman would want to sleep here on the ice. So this week, along with switching it up by making an actual village, I've also put some extra work into unique transitions. For this episode, I added in this Minecraft snow transition, as well as the more one-time use polar bear transition for fun. I thought it might be interesting to share how I made these. Using one of my many creative test worlds, I built up a wall in the sky using lime green concrete. I did this because it turns out that lime green concrete makes a perfect in-game green screen for me to remove the background with. Then, using the replay mod, I recorded the snow and the polar bear attack, and the rest was just up to editing the green out and getting the fade in and out right. And we're left with my new favorite winter transition. So rather than talking about the build here, I wanted to make a quick announcement. Previously, I've been working with the goals of putting out a skin creation time-lapse on Wednesdays, and the new episode on Saturdays. I want to try something new and push back the full episode releases to Sundays. This way that I can use all of Saturday to finish up what I couldn't get done during the week, as I currently have to finish things up on Friday evenings or even Saturday mornings and then start my next episode right after finishing the last. So here we have the homes of the last 3 villager professions. To the left here, we've got the stonemason. Outside, he's got a stack of supplies. And inside, we have several chests for storage, more bricks and supplies, and we've got Axel's workstation, the stonecutter, and his bed with a small pine on his bedside table. Back outside, we have the last cabin here, the home to our leather worker, Lorenzo, and our butcher, Nemo. Inside, we've got the beds here right by the door, and then at the back is the smoker and the cauldron. So when the livestock's ready, Nemo goes out and collects them, and prepares the food while Lorenzo uses the skin to create leather. And that's our village. We managed, though with some tight fits, to have one of each villager profession. It may be a little spread out for a standard village, but it's definitely much more cinematic. So I really hope you enjoyed this very time-lapse heavy episode. As always, I want to thank everyone for checking out my videos. I've really enjoyed the journey so far, and I'm very happy with the content I've been able to create. So if you like this video, then make sure you leave a like down below, and if you have any suggestions or just want to talk about something in the episode, then make sure you leave a comment. And if you want to join me on this content creation journey, then hit the subscribe bell and ring the bell. Also, if you want to check out a quick time-lapse of me making this very skin, then be sure to hit the link at the end of the video. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.